YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of a Foundry Virtual Tabletop version 12 from the ground up. And so in our last episode, we really kind of jumped into prototype tokens. There was a couple other things, not necessarily with the prototype token, but with the token that I wanted to show because it will actually probably make some of this a little, maybe a little more understandable. Not too much, but I don't want to forget it, that's for sure. So I did get a comment in the last video, and I would like to thank Hume Sampson G4J. I remember in the video I was like, I don't know what to call this token, and they gave me like 5 names to choose from. At least I'm assuming that's what this was. Either that or they're telling me someone's really long name and it's all just one name. So what we're going to do is the names are Taylor, Joseph, Lewis, Dorothy, and Kevin. So we're going to go ahead and change the name of Tazzy the Great to one of those names. And the way we're going to decide is we're going to do a /R for /roll. And then we're going to do a 1d5. So that's another thing. I mean, this might be obvious for some people, but you can do odd numbers, non-realistic dice. Now, if you have a mod like Dice So Nice, it'll probably roll like a d6 or something that it can to reach that number. You know, it'll try and roll something to represent that number, and then I'll just tell you what it is. And we'll go over Dice So Nice a little later. So we're going to do 1d5. Taylor will be 1, Joseph 2, Lewis 3, Dorothy 4, and Kevin will be 5. And we got 2. So looks like we have got Joseph. So we are going to change Tazzy the Great here to Joseph the Great. Joseph, like so. I'm just going to hit Control C, go into the prototype token, and we'll change it there as well. And V. And update the token, and go ahead and close. So now we have Joseph the Great, who will also show up just as Joseph. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, and I think we did this in the previous episode, is when your players join, I think I said this, but I'm going to re-say it because it's very important. When your players join, if they don't have any kind of ownership to a token, they will not be able to actually see the map. They won't be able to actually link themselves to a token. So it's all very important that you right click on a token, you go under configure ownership, and you give, for example, Tazzy here is going to be the owner of this token, right? Mob, I don't want anyone to be ownership. It's just default the GM. So now that we've done that, I want to show you really quick what it looks like to a player when they first join a table. Is they'll get something like this. They'll have some user configurations pop up. You just heard the die roll from that roll I did. It was kind of cute. But here you can see this is the player's name. This they can't change because this is what I do with the usernames. When I add those go there. If they want, they can give you an image that will be their avatar. And then you can put that in there for them unless you trust them enough that you give them access to be able to do it. But as a default, they will not have access to be able to see your file system. Then you have player color. If you know a specific color, you can actually type it in here. So we could, change that to an 8 if we like that one just a little bit better. Or we can click on this and we'll get this little panel here that we can actually, say, I like maybe a little more on the minty kind of side or whatever. I think that's mint. And then when they click off of it, that will be the color. What this represents is like different mods will change different things, but this will be their default dice color. When they roll dice with Dice So Nice, this will also be a color that's representing them, like their little dot on the screen will be this color and things like that. Then if they have player pronouns, they can go ahead and put that in. But the most important part is right here, player character. This is where they will do the drop down, and you'll see that it shows that they are owner of Tazzy the Great. So if we add Tazzy the Great now and they save it, you'll see down here that it's saying that, oh, I'm not sure why that actually said Tazzy. Did that say Tazzy the Great? Joseph the Great. Maybe I was just thinking Tazzy the Great. Yeah, so now you can see that they're linked to the token Joseph. You'll notice that it's not the character sheet name, it's actually the name of the token. So we don't have the great part on that because that's really big. And then what they can do now is if they hit the letter C on the keyboard, this will open up their character sheet. And you can see that. Other ways they can open their character sheet is click on actors. Now they will see their character. They can click on it here. You will notice that they do not have prototype token. Those are settings that are usually for either trusted or for GM, assistant GM, and such. So they, as a default, they will not have access to the prototype token. So they cannot bring a token onto a scene. That has to be done. But these are just ways they can access their character sheet. If they have a token, they can click C and it will open that token. If they own multiple tokens for whatever reason, they need to select the token that they're going to control. If they do have multiple tokens or access to multiple tokens, they have a familiar or something like that, one really good setting to make sure that they have set under the configure settings is to go in here to the left click to release the token. And we talked about that. That makes it so as a default, the way you have to do it is you would have to drag a small little window on nothing that you control, and that will release your view of the token, any specific token, and then you can click on a token, select it. But if they're in a different room, you might have to do something like that because this token can't see that token. There are modules, one called Token Vision, I think it is, or Shared Vision, that you can install. I don't think there's a default way of doing it right now, if I remember right. It might be in the D&D 5e system or the Pathfinder system. But anyway, that is what the player's view is going to look like. You'll notice they don't have nearly as many buttons and don't have as much control. But we're going to go over all that later. All right, so now that we have this, if I drag Joseph the Great onto the table here, you will now see that if we go look at our player, they now have vision of Joseph the Great, because Joseph the Great has dark vision and there is no other light on this. You'll see that it's grayscale, and I don't think we actually have it set to 60. That doesn't feel like 60, but that's okay. I think when we were, let's double check real quick. Joseph the Great vision, yeah, we only set it to 15. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the options with a token, and then we'll jump right into this part. But as a player, let's go look at the player real quick again. If they right click on a token they own, they'll get this little tiny screen up here, and we're going to zoom in so you can see it better, that gives them information about said token. One is they can set their elevation, so we could say, 10, the game is paused. Let me go unpause it real quick. There we go. Go back. Now, one thing I'm probably going to do, and I'm going to give you a heads up right now, is I might be in the wrong screen and trying to do something else, like try and do, like when we have a bad guy on the table, try and move him, and I'm in the player one. That's just because I have two screens on top of each other that are almost identical. All right, so anyway, now we have our elevation. We can actually set it, oh, whoops. Go back here again. We can come in here and we can set it to 10 and hit enter, and now you can see 10 feet up in the air. We also have these which will bring in front or back. So if we have other tokens, we can send it to the back of the tokens, the token stack, or bring it forward in the token stack. I really haven't used these much, and I don't think my players have either. The other thing, let's go ahead and just put them back at 0, is over here we have this assign status effect. So when we go into the GM view, there's some other options we have, but we're going to look at assign status effect. The default in D&D and in Pathfinder, this is a much more nice, or nicer, I guess, just nicer. But these are effects that can do something to your token. Obviously, there's dead. If you were, a sleep spell was cast on you and you're asleep, you can do this, and you can actually keep track of, token status. If you're frightened, you're having a nightmare, I guess, because you're frightened and asleep. You can keep track of these. As a default, these don't actually do anything to the token. Different systems will be coded where if I am paralyzed and someone's attacking me, it will know that maybe they have advantage or something like that. If I'm unconscious or prone, it will know that that's a state, and they will do math differently or roll differently. So we have all these default, these are just system agnostic for any system, but then of course you also have various ones for specific systems. For example, if I click blind, this one actually does do something because it's kind of universal. When you're blind, you can't see. However, and you'll actually even see the token gets faded. But like in the Pathfinder system, if it says blind, I can't actually see anything. It's completely black. I might see what I call thumbprints or fingerprint of other tokens, but you're completely blind. Here, it just fades out the thing. So some of them might have something. I don't know specifically because I don't really play with the simple world building. I just wanted to use this, like I said, to show you what as core as we can get of the Foundry default system. Also, we have targets. So this is to set target. If I click on that, you'll see I'm targeting myself. If I'm not targeting myself, I can't target others with that. But if I need to target an enemy, it's different the way you do that. Other ways to target yourself is mouse over you and hit T. And you'll see that automatically does it. If I hit T again, it undoes it. And then this one right here is toggle combat state. As far as I know, I don't think this actually works for the player. I can't actually click on me and put me into an encounter because there's not one there. And I don't think if I am in an encounter, let's go ahead and bring our mob out here. And we'll highlight both of them and we'll right click as GM and we'll put them in combat. So now you'll see they're both in combat. I'm just going to roll for them as a default, so we actually have that. So I don't know specifically if as a player I can take myself out of combat. So if we click on that, we can see we're in combat. I can actually take myself out of combat and in combat. Interesting. I didn't know that. And I don't know specifically where I had ever used that. And it seems like the most useful thing for a player for that is it resets their initiative. So if they roll their initiative and for whatever reason they're told they can re-roll it, I guess they could go out of combat, back into combat, and get a re-roll it. But other than that, it would just take them out of the combat tracker. And then this, of course, I've mentioned before, this is your help. Players can actually do this as well. So I could say I take 2 damage, and now you can see Joseph here took 2 damage. I can right click again and throw in a plus. A plus. And if I go over, my maximum health is 10, but if I said I get 1,000 health, this is not actually going to give you 1,000 health. If I double click it, you can see it only maximizes it. Some systems will actually make it when you take damage or receive help, it will actually have a little pop-up so you can actually see it. But apparently the simple world building does not have that. All right, so now let's quickly go over what the GM has controls of. So once again, we have the same things, some of the same things. I'm right clicking on the token. I have the elevation, I have bring to the front, send to the back. However, I have the open configuration, which we did. This opens up the prototype token. We also talked about you can just right click twice on the token and it will open up the prototype token. We have the states. So for example, if I have this token here, but he's invisible, literally invisible, not condition invisible, but hidden on the table, I can click on that and you'll see that our player does not see that token at all. Even if they have see invisibility as a type of vision, they will not see that token. If we come back here and make him visible again, then of course we have, for our tokens, we also have the same status effects. We have the toggle target state, and we have the combat state. So one thing I did want to point out, if a player is trying to target a token, once again, you just mouse over it and you click T, right? I can't mouse, they can't right click on this. I'm right clicking and they don't actually get any information. So the only way for them to target a token is click T. Also under the token controls, this is select. They can also click on the target and then click on it and target it. And then if there's multiple, see, I almost was going to try and drag out another mob. Whoops, I'm in the wrong screen to do that. I'm going to move them over here so we can actually have a couple. We can have their funny little names. So here we have suspicious, pessimistic, and cautious. And you'll see that in the player screen that they can click on them. If they want to select more than one, they hold down Shift, and now they can select more than one. So if they have a spell that, you know, is an area of effect or a cone or something like that, they can actually select more than one manually. If they want to select them using templates, there's mods that do that. As a default, it does not do that. So as you can see here, Joseph is able to select themselves. One thing always to make sure, if they're saying that it's not replying or responding properly, most likely they're in the ruler mode and it's not moving their token at all. Make sure your players are in select mode. All right, so anyway, that is, and we're even going over some of these already. So as you can see, players have the option under token controls to select a token, to target them a token, and to do a ruler to figure out how far they are from something. So if they're over here and they want to, I was trying to do the ruler without the ruler, they could say, okay, he's 15 feet away. Or, you know, they can't see these guys because they only have a 15-foot dark vision. They'll say, yeah, I can't see those guys. But you can say, okay, if I wanted to get onto, I think that's a stool, it's 25 feet away, whatever. So those are your options there. We also, as players, you have options to do measurement templates. So let's say I'm doing a fireball. I would click the circle template. And then I would come on here and I would make a 20-foot, seeing if I can get exactly 20. There's a 20-foot fireball. If I hold Shift, I can actually make it very finite. I can, you know, not do it by grid. I think, is it this one? No, I think that's with the other ones we might be able to do what I'm going to show you next. So let's go ahead and we do our 20-foot fireball here. If I hold Shift and mouse over the center point, this guy right here, I can rotate it. Doesn't matter with a fireball, but with a line, with I guess with the square, the cube, the line, and the cone, it matters a bit because we can actually do that. So once I place that, I can see what it is. A lot of modules will actually automatically target any creatures within that. But as a player, I could actually then do, you know, my mouse over this guy, hit T, but I'm in the wrong thing, hit T, there's a guy here, I could hold Shift T, whatever there. So that's our circle one. To get rid of it, you simply mouse over it, hit the delete key, and it's gone. This is the one I was talking more. So if I want to do, let's say I'm a dragon and I want to, I didn't want to do that. Hold on. So I'm a dragonborn and I have flame breath. So I would do a cone. So if it's a 15-foot cone, I can go here and go, okay, 15 foot is roughly, I'm not going to be in range. All right, let's say I have a 20-foot cone. So I can come here and say, okay, if I do a 20-foot cone, I can hit it right there. So once again, I can do that. If I place that and I'm like, oh, well, I meant to do something else, different angle, I can once again hold Shift, and now you can see it will do a cone all the way around me. So I can actually, move it and say, okay, can I move that and get any additional mobs? Because I can get him with that and that and that. So if there was a mob like right here, I could also get him. So I could do that. The other thing you can do as a player is you can actually double right click this, and you can do the double click it. Sorry, not right click. And you can change the type. You can come in here and do the different settings. You can set a color. You can give it a border color. You can add a image. So like if I'm doing fireball and I had an image to kind of a template image that would be semi-transparent of a fireball blast, we could do that. I don't remember if I actually have any of those on here, but you can do some basic things here. You can if I wanted to change, oh, it has to be a 15-foot, I can come in where I have my 20-foot right here, make it exactly 20 foot, or I could say, no, this actually has to be 15. And then I can come here and roll that around and see, yeah, I can't get that guy at all. In fact, I can't get anyone because my vision's only 15 feet and he's technically not in my vision. He's kind of concealed. So that is some things you can do. You can also do that with a circle template. I forgot to mention that. So let's go ahead and hit delete. Cube, same thing. So this one, it'll go as a line. And then we can drag it down after that to give us an actual cube. Here's our 15-foot cube. Because it's not centered off of it, we can actually say, here's our 15-foot cube, 15 by 15 right there. And you can see what blocks. The reason this is actually not showing this quite right is because I think it's between squares. So if we move that, which we can by clicking on that, we can come here and say, okay, there we go. Now it's on the corner, so now we're getting an actual 15-15. Once again, we can rotate it. We'll get kind of different. It's a little different with cubes. We kind of get this almost pulsating thing going on here. But you can do that. Double right click it. Same options. I mean, all of them are going to be the same options because you have, I could change it to a circle, update it, and it will actually do radius, right? Then if I have lightning bolt or something, I can go from me and I can cast lightning bolt. Exact same thing. This one's a little more accurate where, if I'm rotating it, you can actually see that it is being more accurate. What are we at? We're at 23 minutes. We're only kind of going over the player ones. Maybe in the next episode we'll go over the more advanced. We'll go over the GM ones. So, and then finally we have this one, which is journal notes. This has to be something that is allowed. Right now, this player does not have permission to add journal notes. So basically all they can do here is if I have a journal note that's shared, they can click on it and they can make it so that the journal note, right now with this toggled like that, basically a journal note will only show on the map if they are in the journal note mode. If they want to always be able to see it, they can click on that, and now if they're even here, they'll be able to see a journal note. We could quickly, just to show you, let's go click a journal note here. We'll go ahead and add one. We'll just call it test. And I'm not going to create a journal entry. We're just going to go ahead and it's called test. I don't think we need to really do anything. Allow map note to be seen anywhere on the map, even if you can't view it. I don't think I have to do entry icon. I might have to do this one actually. Allow this map note to be seen anywhere on the map by a player with permissions to view it. I might. Do I have? I'm trying to remember something. Let's not add that. I want to just double check that. I think if we click on the journal note, no, we don't have any options there. Let's go see if our player can see the journal note real quick. So there you go. They can see the journal note. I mean, obviously it's not linked to anything, so it's not going to do anything, but they can see the journal note. If we go in here, turn that off, and then we leave, now you'll see the journal note is gone. But you can see here, now this has a little purple thing saying that there is journal notes. There is some on the scene, you know, or whatever. So they can come in here and they can select journal notes. Obviously, it's not going to do anything because there's not lots of them. And we haven't given them access to do anything specific with this journal note. If we have this linked to a journal entry, and maybe we could do that. We do have a journal in here. Let's say we wanted to have next body be what they can see on this. So we could come in here, say configure ownership. Tazzy will have limited or observer. I think it's observer. And then if we right click on this twice, we can say journal entry, and the page is going to be next body. So now if we go back to Tazzy here and they go into journal note, if they double click it, you can see it pulled up next body, which is the one they have permission to see. If I, oops, I didn't want to do that. Right click it twice. So what this is saying with the global permission is even if they're outside of view of it as well, they should be able to see that there is a journal note here. So if this was a walled off building and I wanted them to see that there's a journal note there that they can actually access, then I can actually set it to global visibility if I'm correct. I think there's also a way to hide them, which I'm not remembering. I thought as GM I could like right click it or something. Maybe it's just if it has, because I've hidden journal notes or the notes on the table, so I might have to experiment with that to remember what I did. But anyway, I think this is good enough for this episode. I really wanted to focus really quick on see, I can't click on our token HUD, I guess is what that's, the token HUD, and also what the player sees. In the next episode, we're going to go more in depth because you can see that the GM actually has more options and even has more buttons than the player does. And we'll be going over those. Oops, I didn't mean to hit escape. In the next episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, subscribe, click that little notification bell, and tell it to notify you anytime I put up videos. Tell other people about my channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they say, they can sub, and we grow the channel. Everyone wins. I'm really happy because my sub count goes up and might get a little more recognition. YouTube will share my videos with more people, and you guys, hopefully, if you're enjoying the content, will get more content. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.